The world of silent compulsions. It was just another ordinary day. The room was quiet, except for the soft tapping of a pen against the table. The young man seemed focused, yet his fingers wouldn't stop moving. In the corner of the room, a small pile of plucked hair told a story he couldn't even admit to himself. He knew something was wrong, but he couldn't put it into words. This is how many people live, battling silent compulsions that may seem harmless but carry an invisible weight. Now think about it. Have you ever noticed seemingly uncontrollable habits, like biting your nails until they hurt or endlessly picking at your skin? These behaviors go beyond simple quirks. In reality, they may hide something deeper, something that connects us directly to our mind and emotions. It's not just about what we do, it's about why we do it. The question is, what's behind it all? These behaviors, known as body-focused repetitive behaviors, BFRBs, are more common than we think. Maybe you or someone you know has experienced them but never paid much attention. However, these habits can lead to more than frustration. They can affect self-esteem, physical health, and even social relationships. Wouldn't it be fascinating to understand why it's so hard to stop and what we can do about it? What's most intriguing is that these habits often emerge as almost automatic emotional responses. Before we even realize it, we're caught in the cycle, unsure of how it began. But are these behaviors merely habits? Or do they reflect something much deeper within us? That's what we'll begin to explore. After all, understanding what's happening is the first step toward finding answers. What are BFRBs? A window into the unknown. Imagine opening a window to a little explored universe, where what seems like a simple habit reveals layers of complexity. Body-focused repetitive behaviors, BFRBs, are exactly that, compulsive actions that go far beyond conscious control. According to the American Psychiatric Association, these behaviors are classified in the DSM-5 as obsessive-compulsive and related disorders. And here's the surprise: they aren't just quirks, but can stem from deep emotional roots. BFRBs include behaviors like pulling out hair or picking at skin, but they go beyond just that. They differ from other disorders because they're tied to a cycle of anxiety, relief, and guilt rather than fleeting impulses. Recent studies show that around 1 to 2% of the population struggles with trichotillomania or excoriation disorder, though the numbers may be higher, as many people hide the problem. These statistics shed light on an issue that often goes unnoticed. What's fascinating about BFRBs is how uniquely they manifest. For some, it's their hair asking to be pulled. For others, it's a skin imperfection that needs to be fixed. These behaviors often surface during stressful moments, but can also appear in times of boredom or as an automatic escape. It's intriguing to think about how the body finds unusual ways to process emotions. While many are unfamiliar with the term BFRB, the feeling of losing control is universal. The challenge lies in unraveling how these actions connect to our mind and emotions. Could these behaviors be the brain's way of drawing attention to something deeper? This leads us to explore specific behaviors, starting with one of the most common, trichotillomania. Trichotillomania, when hair speaks. Picture someone sitting quietly in a corner, seemingly focused on a book or work, but with restless fingers pulling out strands of hair one by one. This is the reality for those living with trichotillomania, a behavior that goes far beyond a simple habit. Trichotillomania is marked by an irresistible urge to pull out one's own hair, often preceded by growing anxiety and followed by relief, but also guilt. According to the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, this disorder affects 1 to 2% of the population and often emerges during adolescence, a time already filled with emotional challenges. Triggers for this behavior can vary, but they're often linked to stress or an unconscious need for control during emotional turmoil. Fascinatingly, Some individuals describe a preference for certain hair textures or even find satisfaction in examining the white root of the pulled hair. It's as though the act of pulling isn't just physical, it carries a sensory and emotional reward. One young woman, for instance, shared that she wore scarves to hide bald patches, an attempt to keep secret something she felt powerless to control. But trichotillomania isn't just a cosmetic issue. Its consequences run much deeper, affecting self-esteem and leading to social withdrawal. Those struggling with the disorder often avoid interactions or spend hours finding ways to conceal the damage. The psychological impact can spiral into a cycle of shame and frustration, making it even harder to seek help. This is why understanding this internal struggle is crucial. It's more common than many realize. What makes trichotillomania so compelling is its dual nature. It's both a silent cry for help and an attempt to find comfort. This raises another question. What might the skin reveal when it becomes the next target of compulsive behaviors? Could it, like the pulled strands of hair, carry hidden messages waiting to be understood? The skin as refuge and target. Our skin, the body's largest organ, is meant to protect us. Yet, for those suffering from excoriation, it becomes a battleground. Picture someone standing in front of a mirror, endlessly picking at a small imperfection until it turns into a wound. This behavior, known as excoriation, isn't just a habit, it's a compulsive cycle of anxiety, momentary relief, and immediate regret. According to the Mayo Clinic, this condition affects about 1% of the population, though many live in silence, hiding both physical and emotional scars. The act of picking often begins with something minor, like a pimple or rough patch of skin. The issue is that the focus goes beyond the surface, becoming a way to cope with inner tension. One woman shared that she would spend hours picking at her hands while working, losing all sense of time. What's striking is that this behavior not only causes physical harm, such as severe infections, but also fuels a cycle of shame that makes seeking help even harder. As with trichotillomania, the triggers for excoriation can include stress, boredom, or even moments of deep concentration. Tools like tweezers or fingernails turn the skin into a constant target. For many, the immediate relief of fixing something on their skin is quickly replaced by overwhelming regret. The emotional toll can be just as severe as the physical damage, leading to low self-esteem and strained relationships. Excoriation, like other repetitive behaviors, raises a crucial question. Why does the mind seek comfort in something that causes harm? Perhaps it's tied to an unconscious need for control in a chaotic world. As we ponder this, another intriguing layer emerges. Could there be other lesser-known behaviors that fit within this silent and complex universe? Lesser-known compulsions. Not everyone realizes it, but there are compulsive behaviors that, while seemingly harmless, can hide deep emotional struggles. Nail biting, lip chewing, or even nose picking. These actions are common, but for some they go beyond mere habits. The technical term for nail biting, for instance, is onychotillomania, and while often dismissed as a nervous habit, it can lead to wounds, infections, and even dental problems. For those experiencing it, it's not just about appearance. It's about the difficulty of stopping something that feels utterly overpowering. These behaviors often emerge in moments of stress or boredom, but can also occur as unconscious acts, a way to seek comfort without realizing it. Think of someone who spends hours biting their lips while working, causing painful sores that make eating or smiling difficult. It seems simple but reflects something deeper, an attempt to alleviate internal tensions. The prevalence of these behaviors varies by age and gender, being more common among teenagers, though they don't discriminate against any group. Interestingly, these habits can evolve into elaborate rituals. Who hasn't seen someone with destroyed fingers from excessive nail biting, masking the behavior with nail polish or gloves? In some cases, the compulsion extends to related actions, like pulling at fabric threads or obsessively fidgeting with objects. It's as if the brain finds multiple outlets for its restlessness without addressing the underlying issue. As we delve deeper into the world of lesser-known compulsions, one thing becomes clear: they're more than habits. They're windows into the mind, hinting that something bigger is at play. But what exactly drives these actions? And why are some people more susceptible to them? The answer likely lies in a combination of genetics, brain chemistry, and environment, an exploration we'll dive into next. What causes these behaviors? The causes of body-focused repetitive behaviors, BFRBs, are as fascinating as they are complex. For some, these actions may seem like inexplicable habits, but science points to a mix of genetic, chemical, and environmental factors. Research shows that imbalances in dopamine and serotonin, neurotransmitters that regulate emotions and impulses, can play a critical role. According to psychiatrists like Dr. Charles Mansueto, these compulsions may result from a short circuit in the brain, where immediate relief takes precedence over conscious control. Beyond brain chemistry, genetics also play a part. Studies reveal that individuals with a family history of obsessive-compulsive or anxiety disorders are more likely to develop BFRBs. Imagine someone raised in an environment with high emotional pressure. Compulsive behaviors may become an unconscious way to cope with stress. It's as if the brain creates shortcuts to relieve tension, even though these shortcuts can lead to bigger problems over time. The environment is another key factor. Chronic stress, trauma, or even prolonged boredom can trigger these behaviors. Consider a student during exam season or a professional dealing with tight deadlines. Small habits, like pulling hair or biting nails, can escalate into severe compulsions when tied to negative emotions. This connection between external pressures and internal responses makes these behaviors particularly hard to break. What's most intriguing is that BFRBs aren't just automatic reactions. They carry profound meanings about how we process emotions and face challenges. But how do these behaviors affect the health of those who experience them? This becomes clearer when we examine the physical and emotional scars they leave behind. Impact on physical and mental health. The impact of BFRBs goes far beyond what meets the eye. Physically, the damage can be alarming. Repeatedly pulling out hair can lead to alopecia, a type of hair loss that, in extreme cases, may become permanent. Skin picking, on the other hand, can result in open wounds that become gateways for severe infections like cellulitis. Imagine living with physical pain that serves not only as a consequence, but as a constant reminder of something you can't control. Emotionally, the effects are just as devastating. Many people struggling with these behaviors report feelings of shame and isolation. The effort to hide physical marks creates a social barrier, and the fear of judgment intensifies the cycle of anxiety. One woman, for example, shared how wearing wigs to cover bald spots kept her from attending parties or meeting friends. This self-imposed solitude is one of the most painful consequences of these behaviors. But the impact doesn't stop there. When left untreated, these compulsions can fuel more complex disorders, such as depression or generalized anxiety disorder. It's a cycle where the immediate relief brought by the behavior is quickly replaced by guilt and frustration. Anyone who has experienced this knows how hard it is to break the pattern, especially when it has become a long-standing part of daily life. Despite these challenges, there is hope. Understanding these impacts makes it clear that recovery is possible. Therapeutic techniques and practical changes can provide relief and help restore self-esteem. But where does the journey to healing begin? This is where practical solutions and treatments come into play, offering a path forward for those ready to overcome these challenges. Practical solutions and therapies. Overcoming BFRBs may seem like a monumental challenge, but practical and accessible methods have helped thousands reclaim control. One of the most effective approaches is habit reversal training, HRT, a proven technique that retrains the brain to replace compulsive behaviors with positive actions. For instance, when feeling the urge to pull hair, some people learn to squeeze a stress ball, redirecting their energy in a controlled way. Combined with persistence, this practice can help transform deeply ingrained habits. In addition to HRT, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, has shown tremendous success. This method helps individuals identify emotional triggers and reframe thought patterns that drive compulsive behaviors. A study published in the Journal of Behavior Therapy found that patients combining CBT with mindfulness techniques experienced significant reductions in impulses. Mindfulness itself can be a practical tool. Daily breathing exercises or meditation strengthen emotional regulation and promote awareness of triggers. For those seeking quick and accessible solutions, simple daily changes can make a difference. Keeping hands busy with manual hobbies like knitting or gardening offers a practical way to resist skin picking or hair pulling urges. Another helpful tip is creating physical barriers, such as wearing gloves or applying adhesive strips to fingertips, especially during vulnerable moments like studying or watching TV. What's most important to remember is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person may not be effective for another. While these techniques are valuable starting points, they're just the beginning of the journey. Could there be natural and complementary alternatives to enhance this process? The answer might surprise you and open new doors for those seeking balance and relief. Natural and complementary alternatives. Beyond traditional therapies, natural and complementary approaches can play a significant role in managing BFRBs. Supplements like inositol and N-acetylcysteine, NAC, have gained attention in scientific studies. Inositol, a natural compound found in citrus fruits, has shown effectiveness in balancing neurotransmitters responsible for impulse control. NAC, known for its antioxidant properties, has helped many reduce the intensity of compulsive behaviors. Both are safe and accessible options, but should always be used under professional guidance. Another promising approach is incorporating practices like yoga and meditation. These techniques help lower stress levels and increase body awareness, both crucial for managing impulses. A study published in Frontiers in Psychiatry revealed that individuals who regularly practice yoga reported a greater ability to manage compulsive behaviors. The best part? These practices are highly adaptable. Starting with just 10 minutes of mindful breathing or simple poses can yield noticeable benefits. Additionally, methods such as acupuncture and biofeedback are being explored as complementary options. Acupuncture works on the nervous system to promote relaxation and reduce anxiety, while biofeedback teaches individuals to monitor and control physiological responses, like muscle tension, which often precedes BFRBs. Though less mainstream, these practices can significantly enhance conventional treatments. What's most fascinating about these alternatives is how they integrate the mind and body, offering a holistic approach for those seeking control. Combining these options with therapy and practical daily changes can greatly increase the likelihood of success. But how do we turn all this knowledge into a tangible journey of recovery? That's the question leading us to the next step. A path to overcoming. Whether you or someone close to you is facing the challenges of BFRBs, the most important thing to remember is that these behaviors do not define who you are. The key to overcoming them begins with understanding that they are the mind and body's responses to internal tensions, and that effective strategies exist to transform them. Imagine regaining control, breaking free from the cycle of guilt, and discovering lasting relief. This journey is possible, but it requires small, consistent steps. Ask yourself, what can you start doing today to create real change? Perhaps it's setting aside a few minutes for a mindfulness exercise, trying a supplement like NAC, or seeking professional help to explore the therapies we've discussed. Every action counts, and it's the accumulation of these efforts that can turn the tide. The sooner you begin, the sooner you'll see the benefits take shape in your life. And how about sharing your experiences? What you've learned here could spark a transformative conversation with others. Leave your questions or stories in the comments. Sharing is the first step toward change. Also, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on content that could reshape how you view mental and emotional health. After all, no one has to face these challenges alone. Finally, consider supporting the work behind these videos. Click the thanks button to help create more content like this. It's a way to ensure more people have access to life-changing information. And remember, the next step in your journey to overcoming these challenges is always within reach, and it doesn't end here. If you found this topic intriguing, you can't miss the previous video. There we explored how simple habits can mask signs of compulsions and how to identify these behaviors before they take control. Connecting the insights from that video with what we've discussed here is an essential step to understanding the triggers that shape our actions. Click now to watch and deepen your knowledge.